Howdy there, folks. This is Lapidary Dave, and right now I'm going to remove these stones from their dopping sticks by placing them in the freezer. I made a video on how to remove these using warm or hot water, and now I'm going to make a quick video on the more obvious and common way of removing these. I don't expect all of these to just pop off the dop when I put them in the freezer. A handful of them I do, like this one. This little piece of smoky quartz that was connected to a piece of amazonite is already looking like it's ready to just fall off. But there's a couple of these that are kind of really flush to the wax, and I don't expect them to just pop off. The ones that don't just pop off, sometimes you can influence a little bit by using a butter knife or maybe like a stick or something. I have damaged stones in the past by applying too much pressure and trying to get them off when they're stubborn on the stick after being in the freezer. And there's a handful of these that I expect might be broken by the time they come off, like this beautiful piece of fluorite with pyrite. It's kind of already cracked and it might be being held together because it's on a dopping stick. And the same thing goes for this beautiful piece of honey opal, if you can see right here on the side. It looks like it's already broken and maybe it's being held together by the dopping stick. These pieces here already fell off the dopping stick while I was polishing them with my jewelry buffer. Some sweet pieces here. Check out this little piece of turquoise. Perfect for a ring. I love this little piece of nephrite jade. I believe it's from Alaska. Super sweet. I cut a lot of these little pieces of amazonite. Some of these are very flashy. Anyway, I'm going to get these in a box and then pop them in the freezer, see what happens. Alright, so we have our box with stones that are dopped. We got our freezer. We're going to open her up. Looking pretty dirty. What is that back there? It's like a Jimmy Dean breakfast sandwich or something. Alright, I'm going to try to place this in here, hopefully it fits. It sure does. I have a radio show today. I host a bluegrass and country radio show here in Taos, New Mexico. But today I'm volunteering for my friend's soul show. So I'm going to go do that and then we'll check up on these bad girls. In the past, I've buried some turquoise in snow and it got too cold and actually damaged the turquoise. So I don't want to leave these in too long, like over the weekend or anything. Alright. Alright folks, as you can see here, some of the pieces just fell off of their dops while sitting in the freezer over the weekend. Like this beautiful piece of Nakazari turquoise, came right off the dopping stick, as well as a few pieces of amazonite. This first piece that I'm removing here is a piece of Eliza lime or Mojave turquoise. Came off real easily. Took a little bit of dopping wax with it, but that's pretty normal. This second piece is a piece of honey opal from Africa that I couldn't get off with my fingernail pressure. I wasn't going to try to take it off with a butter knife or anything, like you might hear people suggest. This third piece is a piece of Kingman turquoise that just with my fingernail alone I snapped right in half. Maybe I left it in the freezer too long. Maybe it had a fracture and I didn't even know it. Or maybe I came at it from the wrong angle. Either way, I usually take off smaller pieces with warm water instead of putting it in the freezer because this happens to me every so often and it's a shame. Another piece of Kingman comes right off with just a little bit of pressure. Here's another piece of Kingman that didn't come off the dop so easily. I wasn't going to force it, and I wasn't going to use a knife, so I just put it back in the box. I'll hit it with some warm water. This is a piece of fluorite that I got at the Buena Vista Gem Show. Comes right off real easily. This fluorite actually has pyrite inside of it. And this is a piece of smoky quartz from Lake George, Colorado. It was growing in a piece of amazonite. And then we have a piece of the amazonite I was just talking about, also from Lake George. This material comes off the top very easily with being in the freezer. Another piece of the same. Comes off very clean. This is a piece of YB mountain turquoise from China. Came off pretty easily. Took a little bit of dopping wax with it, which isn't a big deal. I either scrape that off with a knife or use a jewelry buffer or something. This is a piece of blue Brazilian tree opal that I'm very happy came off nice and clean and didn't break. That stuff is awesome. I'm usually a little worried about removing opal that was in the freezer because it doesn't take being cold or hot very well, being opal. This piece of amazonite didn't come off very easily. I probably could have used a knife in the case of the amazonite because it's so tough, but I didn't. Another piece of amazonite from the same place came off very easily. Again, that stuff is super tough. Polish is pretty easy though. This is a piece of that blue Brazilian opal that popped off the dot by itself. This is a piece of chrysoprase, perhaps lower quality, from Australia. I got that from Richardson Ranch out of Oregon. Those guys are fantastic. Here's a piece of African honey opal, snapped right in half. Not too big of a disappointment. This material is really affordable, but a little bit of waste of time. I will glue it back together and sell it as a repaired piece and get a couple bucks for it, but it's a shame. Here's another little piece of Kingman. I didn't get it off. I'm not going to force it, and I'm not going to use a knife or a stick. I'll get it with some warm water. And yet again, another piece of Kingman that I did not get off the dop. This one had a little bit of like a pock or fissure in the middle, so I definitely didn't want to try too hard to get it off. Sometimes I definitely am worried about dopping certain stones like opals and turquoise, but for this video I definitely wasn't disappointed that a couple pieces broke. It's good to show you that it can happen. I hope this helps somebody. I hope this encourages you folks to put your stones in the freezer to get them off your dopping sticks if it's the right kind of material. And again, don't leave them in the freezer too long. Until next time, my friends, this is Lapidary Dave. See you soon.